Everything is so perfect. There's no way, using common sense, there's no way that it just came by chance out of an explosion. No way. It's impossible.
I like how this is his argument. Like, it's just preposterous. Preposterous, I say. You use common sense and it says 2 + 2 = whatever the fuck Jesus says.
It goes against science. And if they try to say science...
You're trying to do science with a goddamn Bible. You're not gonna get correct fucking answers. Well, what is up, heathens? How are you guys doing tonight? I am doing pretty good. Tonight we are going to be looking at how to witness to an atheist. 101. We're going to teach everybody how you should and shouldn't witness to an atheist. And I got a nice instructional video that is going to be teaching us how to do it. So there's that. Oh, and here, our teacher has joined us. Thank you, teacher. Can you please teach us how to witness to atheists? Because you are the atheist expert in all things atheist, aren't you?
Hello, everyone. Today's video is going to be an introduction to a new series I'm going to do. Probably going to title it Dealing with Atheists. And it's just going to be a bunch of small miniature videos.
Okay, wait, so the title of it was Witnessing to Atheists, Part 1. But apparently, originally it started out with Dealing with Atheists, because fuck it if they're not hard to handle. I mean, basically, when you get into a conversation with them, you turn into all thumbs and you drop the pass that was a Hail Mary that was thrown to you.
Of how to deal with different objections or questions that atheists will come up with. Some will be out of their honest curiosity, others will be for no other purpose than to try to stump you and cause you to question your faith.
Okay, those are, I mean, I do ask questions of Christians regularly, like as to their faith and whatnot, and not necessarily to make them stumble, but just to get you to think. Although, I find it funny that you consider it stumbling or whatever to actually have to think about your faith. So, I mean, I'm a little confused on that part.
Excuse me, I have a bit of a sore throat. My kid.
Sore throat, or maybe you shotgunned a Diet Dr. Pepper before you turned on the video camera.
Kids are sick again, and of course, anybody with kids, once they're sick, it's gonna come back. Like, everybody gets sick. But anyway,
I don't know what that had to do with anything. Why couldn't you just cough and be like, I got a sore throat, sorry. I don't need your backstory in order to know how to witness to a goddamn atheist.
First issue I'm gonna cover is origin.
Origin, okay. You mean like Origen the philosopher and the church father? That origin? Or you mean like origin of species? Can we get a little bit more specific here?
Reference my notes a lot. Atheists believe that...
Maybe you should reference them more. I'm just saying, like, it's already about a minute 10 in, and it's taking you forever to get to the first point here.
Reference my notes a lot. Atheists believe that all things come by chance, that through the Big Bang, everything was able to come to what it is now. So basically, their reason for, or explanation of origin, is that nothing became something and exploded into everything that we have now. An explosion, there was Big Bang, and then all these molecules and all these things came together from that nothing, and that nothing became something, and through billions and billions of years, just by chance, everything came together exactly how it needed to be in order for there to be life on this planet. And then once life came, billions and billions of years took for everything to evolve into where we're at now.
Okay, that is by far, like, you've managed to get worse than the vigilant Christian Mario at this point. All you need is an Illuminati eye hat and your fucking truth or swag, and I think that you could rival him on YouTube. Just saying. Basically, nothing became something first. I don't know what the fuck that something would have been, but nothing became something first. And then apparently there was a big bang, and then molecules formed, and then over billions of years, boom, life began. Like, you're totally skipping over the part where there wasn't like a something between like the nothingness and then the big bang. So I mean, you're kind of inserting that in there. And then after the Big Bang, there was only a few elements that were around, like hydrogen and helium. And I want to say that there were some other ones. I think maybe some lithium too. But you know, for a long time it was that, and like molecules didn't start to form until stars started, you know, collapsing and like generating the heavier element. So I don't know. Like, this is legit, like, the worst explanation of evolutionary theory, because it combines, and not only does it combine, like, the beginning of the universe and, you know, cosmic evolution and then biological evolution, but also you're totally not even going through the correct process to, like, create the planets, and then how did water get here, and then how did we get an atmosphere, and, like, all of that kind of stuff. Like, you think it just jumps from one thing. There were molecules, and then all of a sudden a frog jumped out the water on Earth and turned into a human, because that's how shit works.
No, honestly, that takes a lot more faith than anything I could ever think of.
that takes more faith than anything you can think of, because I can think of some pretty wild shit. like for instance, I think that it takes less faith, because it takes no faith to accept evolution as the fact that it is. I think that it would take more faith to believe that you rode in here like Iron Man, desuited in the true Iron Man fashion, sat down and just churned out this big pile of shit. Like, I think that it takes more faith to believe that than any kind of Christian believing in evolution. But more to the point, it doesn't take faith to believe in evolution. It doesn't take faith to accept evolution as a fact. There are plenty of Christians out there that actually accept evolution as a fact. So I mean, it doesn't take faith. There's evidence. That's something that sets it apart from faith, because it has evidence, and faith is what you have in lieu of evidence.
This is the type of question that would be difficult to answer.
It seems pretty fucking difficult for you to answer now. You look like you're shitting yourself right now. Like, I did not write this part down in my notes. Oh, fuck. Come up with something good real quick. Bible.
Well, difficult for an atheist to accept if they do not allow the possibility for a God.
Oh, okay. So in order for me to believe that God created the universe, I have to first be open to believing in a God? Like I don't think any atheist out there is like, look, even if you prove to me God exists, I'm not going to believe he exists. Like, there's no atheist out there that's going to be like that. There are Gnostic atheists out there that are like, you can't prove God exists. But I mean, I think that even them, if you were to definitely prove a God existing, they would be like, well, fuck, I'm wrong. Now, worshiping that God, different fucking story, because even then I wouldn't worship the God of the Bible. I mean, he's a vindictive and immature and just all around general dickhead.
If they absolutely don't allow that, then it's one of those things that you can sit there and explain it to them, say everything that makes sense to them, and they're still going to reject it if ultimately they do not give acceptance to the possibility of there being a God.
Incorrect, because like I said, I think most atheists are open to a God being proven to exist. So, plus you got a little bit of internal, like, contradiction there. Like, if you're saying things that make sense to them, why would they then disregard the things that are making sense to them? So I don't get where you're going there with it, but I mean, I'm open to a God existing, but I still reject your God because there's no evidence for his existence. And no amount of you telling me about the Bible till you're blue in the face is going to change my mind on that.
A couple ways you can answer it. Of course, through Scripture. Genesis.
Oh, yeah, immediately, of course, through Scripture. Like, as soon as you turn to the Bible, I mean, it's just like, fuck off. Like, I'm not going to listen to the... You think I haven't read the Bible? I'm going through the Bible for like the umpteenth time now. And I still don't believe this shit. I mean, when Jacob in Genesis has like 2 wives and then 2 handmaidens, and he has to have sex and have kids with all these different freaking wives because apparently God got a wild hair up his ass and closed up the womb of one of them, so he had to get the other one. Like, God closing up wombs? What the fuck is that? That sounds like a dick move if he is God. And if that is the case, if that were real, God can close up the womb of a woman, but he can't feed a kid in Africa?
This 1:1, in the beginning, God created the heaven and earth. The Bible establishes that it was God who created everything.
No shit.
Everything.
I think he forgot his beliefs there for a second. Like, he stopped for a good second and was like, oh, fuck, what do I believe again? Oh, yeah, bullshit.
Beginning has a cause. Everything in terms of life, and this is a very simple thing to refute life.
Okay, he's saying that, at least what I can glean from his incoherent stream of consciousness, is that everything has a cause, therefore somebody had to have caused it. This is the first cause argument, or teleological, maybe, I think. But anyways, no, not like even the Big Bang has a cause. Everything has a cause. True, even the Big Bang has a cause. But because we don't understand that cause just yet, doesn't mean that God is the one that did it. See, this is where a lot of apologists or Christians in general will make the leap without any evidence. And see, that's where they falter in their logic. They draw a big cloud and say, fuck off, it was God in the middle of the cloud. And, that's not the way to logically get to God existing. First, you have to have evidence to show that God actually did it. Like, maybe on the back of a turtle, God scrawled, like, God was here, or something like that, and it just magically appears one day. I don't know. Even then, it would take some good science in order to prove that was God. I don't know what proof would prove God to exist, but I know that I'm open to it.
Nowhere in observable science has life come from non-life.
Oh, now he's bringing out the abiogenesis guns. All right. Just because you have never seen life come from non-life, or like the primordial concoction that was around on the earth that was able to generate like self-replicating RNA, or other different theories that we have for how life started, panspermia. Like, just because you haven't seen it doesn't mean that it can't happen. You have to be able to prove that it can't happen. There was that one Louis Pasteur. Yeah, I think it was Louis Pasteur. He had this whole law of biogenesis. But I mean, even when he was proving that, or he came up with that, he disproved flies being generated from rotting meat. And he made that observation. He wasn't trying to set a scientific precedent saying that only life can come from life, just that in the normal course of things, life comes from life. But we are making a lot of good headway on proving that, you can get DNA and organic material from non-organic material.
Nowhere. Absolutely nowhere. And they can try to make up some craziness, but nowhere in existence, nowhere from what we can physically observe, because science is an observation of process. It's testing of repeatability of certain things. That's what real science is. And there's nothing there nothing that we've seen that shows that living comes from the non-living.
Okay, we don't have to prove that living things coming from non-living things. Like, that's not evolution. Maybe before you sit down and press record on your phone, you should actually look up what actual evolution is, because what you're describing is abiogenesis. You're not describing evolution. Evolution is the change in in organisms over time. That's all evolution is. Evolution by natural selection gives you how exactly they can change in the environment naturally. And but the abiogenesis thing, just because you haven't observed it, doesn't mean that it can't happen. And that's what he's doing here, is he's saying that it's not real science because we can't observe it. It's not that we can't observe it, it's that we haven't yet. God damn it. You know, if these people could actually just go on Wikipedia. Like, everybody shits on Wikipedia, but for somebody like this, it is a very good resource because it's gonna aggregate all the information into one fucking page. Okay, I'm fairly certain that you can read that and not have an aneurysm.
Life always comes from life. 100% of the time.
You can't say 100% of the time. Just throwing that out there. You can't say that because you haven't proven it. Nobody has proven it that it's 100%. If anybody states something scientifically and they're like, oh, yeah, definitely 100%. 100%. That's how it happened. Like, even with evolution, there's a very narrow field where it could be wrong and it can be disproven. If it's 100% true and can't be disproven, that's not fucking scientific. But of course, his fucking Liberty University science degree here is not gonna clue him into that little detail.
Let's see here. I'm just looking at my notes to see if...
Is there any way that you could have, I don't know, collected your notes beforehand so that you're not going on camera?
Which a lot of them reject this, but just the evidence of God is around us. For example, if you look at a building...
If you look at a building, God's in the building. No, it's a window washer that's fucking with you, and he drew Jesus on there. I mean, that's all that is. Evidence of God is not all around us. I'm guessing that he's going to go to an argument from design or whatever. That's got so many problems with it. First, it doesn't take into account that things that we design or are designed, they do have a designer, but they also don't have any kind of natural process that brings them into being. Like, for certain, if there was a natural process to put together a Lamborghini, you can bet that you can leave something in a field or some shit like that and you can get a Lamborghini. But because there's no natural process that will assemble a goddamn Lamborghini, that is just dumb as fuck to even say.
You wouldn't just say the wind blew into this mountain and picked up all the rocks from the mountains and rearranged everything to the point where a building was formed. No.
What does he think buildings are made of? Like, wind blew a mountain and then built a building. That I don't know how he's coming up with his examples here, but that is a shitty fucking example. Yeah, there's stones used in buildings, but there's also like wood, metal, various other things. I'm sure plastic is in there too. That's just dumb as fuck, a dumb as fuck thing to say. It's just like the Lamborghini thing. If we had a process that was natural and it built a fucking building from scratch, I'm fairly certain we would have buildings just appearing. But that's not how shit works.
Obviously, a building is evidence of a builder. A painting, evidence of a painter. The complex life that we have here is evidence that there is someone beyond our understanding, which us Christians would say it's God.
You know, it's funny. That's also what the Muslims say. That's what the Jews say, and that's what every other fucking religion out there says. Well, most of them. Most of them would say that, yeah, God created it. But guess what? All of them fucking say that. Where science differs is that we can say without a doubt that we know exactly how everything in the universe came to be. I mean, we have, again, always a small margin for it to be disproven, but We know for as certain as science can get as to how we came to be here, all the way from the Big Bang. Like, the design argument is so stupid. I don't get why they're just like, do you see all this shit? Like this has a designer, so guess what? This has a designer too, and it's called God, and he's telling you fuck off.
Anybody that knows the truth would say it's God.
Ooh, now Christians have the truth.
That's where we came from. Not a big bang, not out of chance. There's too many things that had to be exactly perfect for everything to be out of just dumb luck.
Well, no, I mean, yeah, things have to be quote unquote perfect. Perfect in this instance isn't as perfect as he fucking thinks it is. I mean, like, the Earth has a range of values that shit can be in order for life to be produced here. So, I mean, it's not as quote-unquote perfect as you like to make it out to be. But also, all of the constants that they always complain about, I mean, a lot of them are dependent upon each other. So if you change one, then the others are going to change. So, I mean, it doesn't really hold any kind of water, or it doesn't make any kind of sense to say that, oh, all of this is just perfect, so, I mean, it can't be by chance. Okay, well, let's just unbox that real quick, shall we? Considering our knowledge of statistical probability, if something is highly improbable but is given a large data set in which it can happen, you can bet that it's 100% of the time going to happen. This is often called pigeonhole theory. So if you have enough instances for it to happen, guaranteed it's going to happen. I'm just saying. So the whole improbable bit is bullshit.
If the Earth was spinning any fast, or if the Earth was any farther from the sun, we'd freeze to death. If it was any closer, we burn to death.
The Earth regularly changes its distance, like by hundreds, if not thousands, of miles. I'm not exactly sure here, because it's not in a perfect circle. It's in kind of a parabola, if memory serves. Okay, so the average distance between the Earth and Sun is complete orbit. Okay. I don't know. Does anybody know in the comments like how the Earth goes millions of miles either way? Is it millions of miles? I can't remember the exact, like, how far. Let's see. All right. So there you go. That's the Earth's orbit. It changes dramatically, like as it orbits around the sun. I don't know where you're getting your information, but your information is all fuckered.
A little bit more oxygen on this planet than what there is now, then we burn up in flames. If there was a little less oxygen than what we have now, we'd suffocate.
Not true. And just so that you know, Christopher in the live comments here said that it's about 584 miles, that the delta in the distance between the Earth and the Sun as it rotates around the Earth. So, but with the oxygen, it's not that it's not that simple. I mean, of course, if we have just shit tons of oxygen, maybe nothing can live here. I'm not an expert in it, so I'm not exactly sure. But I mean, back when the dinosaurs, were alive, 65 million or more years ago, there was a lot more oxygen on the Earth. And now there's less. That's why animals can only be so big. That's why insects can only be so big. There's just less oxygen here than there was back then. It was a totally different climate. And in each kind of climate with different oxygen levels, different kinds of life are going to be able to survive. And as that climate changes, normally it changes slowly enough so that nature can actually change with it. But fuck. I'm fairly certain that that's way out of his intellectual range, but I mean, it's literally a Google away.
Everything is so perfect. There's no way, using common sense, there's no way that it just came by chance, out of an explosion.
Actually, using common sense, it makes perfect sense that it came by chance, if you will. By chance, and then later on by not so random occurrences.
No way. It's impossible.
I like how this is his argument. Like, it's just preposterous. Preposterous, I say. You use common sense and it says 2 + 2 = whatever the fuck Jesus says.
Goes against science. And if they try to say science...
You're trying to do science with a goddamn Bible. You're not going to get correct fucking answers. The Bible says pi is 3, that there's a covering over the earth that holds back some fucking kind of water. Hell exists in the center of the earth, and a whole bunch of other non-scientific shit. Why would I go to the Bible to look for some fucking science?
Proves it, that's a lie. Real science is observable, repeatable knowledge. The science that they're talking about is philosophical.
No, I don't know what he's talking about here. Like, I don't know how... Like, I get that there's, like, a philosophy of science or whatever, but, I mean, it's not. It's all evidence-based. It's observable. It's repeatable. You can repeat the process on shit. I don't understand what he's saying at this point. It's like he's providing a straw man of what science actually fucking is, or what scientists actually do.
It's philosophy.
Philosophy, bitches. Oh!
The Big Bang, that is philosophical. It is not real, observable science.
No. It's not. How can it be philosophical? We have a picture of the cosmic microwave background radiation. Like, we have pictures of that shit, which is one step farther than we have for your fucking God sitting up there on his throne, scratching his beard, wondering when Johnny's gonna masturbate next.
No, I think that's all the points I wanted to make on that.
Okay.
Now, again, if you ever run into this issue with an atheist, if they're one that's really dishonest, you'll run into some that just...
Yeah, them fucking atheists are dishonest as shit, okay? I mean, they got their scientism degrees and all that kind of stuff just hanging everywhere, hanging out, kind of like some kind of stripper at a bar, just hanging everywhere. I'm sorry, I was coughing on the invisible cock in my mouth because I'm an atheist and I suck that Richard Dawkins dick all the time.
Honestly don't know. Honestly are curious. And then there are those that it doesn't matter what you tell them. You could come up with so many points. I can make this video an hour long, and you can repeat, you can use all that content to an atheist, but if they don't allow for the possibility for there to be a God, then you're just wasting your time.
Okay, any Christians watching it, you're not wasting your time. Please do make the points, because you might fucking learn something, unlike this motherfucker right here. Now, it amazes me how he's like, you can throw facts at them all day long from the Bible, but they won't believe in the shit because they're not open to God. It's not that I'm not open to God. It's that they're not facts, that it's the Bible. You're reciting scripture to me, and that is in no way comparable to actual fucking evidence. Please do better. But, I mean, like, we do the exact same thing to Christians, right? I mean, we show them facts, we show them evidence every single day, and we argue, like, the facts, and they just totally disregard the facts. So I don't see how he can be so cognitively dissonant about his position that he can't realize that he's actually describing Christians as well.
It's kind of where you gotta make a judgment call when you're trying to witness to somebody.
I like how it's called witnessing to somebody and not providing fucking facts and evidence in order to prove there are magical being in the sky cares about what you masturbate to, when you masturbate, how you masturbate, and who you masturbate on, in, or around. Like, I like how it's called witnessing because it's not facts or anything. It's witness. Like, you're a witness for God, except you didn't actually see God. You were just told that he exists, and that you better follow his shit, or you're going to be burning in hell.
Bringing up truth, you're answering their questions, and if they keep going back, and you just start to recognize that the conversation is just going in a circle, that they're just asking the same question, just rearranging some of the words, and you're answering it over and over again, and they're acting like you're not answering it, and they just keep asking the same question, acting like they're asking different questions, but it's really just the same question.
Is he describing atheists here, or is he describing Christians? I'm really kind of confused at this point as to whether or not he's talking about either party. I mean, I get that he has these gripes about him, but I mean, at the same time, that's exactly what you would fucking do in that situation.
At that point, you're not going to get anywhere. It doesn't matter what you're going to say, and it's not to say to give up on that person and never try to present the gospel again, but just at that present time, it's just best to end the conversation with the truth that you've spoken.
It's not truth.
And just end it there, because in the long run, you're not the one that's going to be doing the converting. It's not you. It doesn't matter what you say. You're not the one that's doing the converting. Just be true, be honest, be truthful, and loyal to the gospel. Present the message. If they have more questions and it's honest questions, be there for as long as they need. They need the answers.
He makes good points here. I mean, if there's a certain situation that you're getting, or like if there's a certain conversation or whatnot that you're having, knowing when to stop and letting go is good for anybody that's going to be having this kind of conversation. And him telling people that, hey, you need to be there for them or for whatever. I mean, I think that's good advice. I think Christians should be around, because, like, if I have more questions, it would be nice to know that I can ask somebody. That's why I always tell people that I'm open, to be talked to or tried to convince, or if anybody wants to try to witness to me or prove to me that God is real, I will listen, because I want to be there as a voice of reason in the fog that is Christianity that has surrounded their mind and totally engulfed it. That's why, like, when people say, hey, it's pointless to talk to these fucks because they don't ever listen, it's like, yeah, but I would still rather be that voice in the fog.
If it becomes something that's just circular craziness where it doesn't matter what you say, they're not going to accept it, just, don't be afraid to end the conversation there. Be sure to pray for them. Be sure to pray that their hearts are softened to the truth, and that they actually start to get the conviction to accept the truth, that their eyes are open so they actually see what's going on, see the truth, and they come back to them, at another time.
Okay, to translate for those that don't speak crazy-ass Christian, he means that apparently you have to wait for them to realize that Jesus is the truth, the way, and the life, and you just got to wait for it to happen. I mean, there's no way that a Bible verse is going to convince any atheist. If it does, then that's just they were liable to be tricked back into the religion, anyways.
By no means am I saying give up on them or anything like that. But sometimes we get so caught up trying to keep pushing it, that can actually harden their hearts even more to where they reject the gospel even more. So it's just best to present it. If they're going to reject it no matter what you say, just end it there. And if you have, pray for them, and hopefully you have another opportunity to witness to them again if it's somebody that you know. If it's
because the definition of insanity is doing the same shit over and over and over again and expecting different results, which is exactly what you're describing here in the slowest fucking way possible. Just continuing to witness to a person, reciting the same old Bible verses over to somebody is not going to convince them. It's not going to convince them one day. It's definitely not going to convince them another day. that's why I say with like people that do enter into these conversations is that you're not like, there's nothing that you can say that is going to convince them. All you can do is be there as the person to give them the facts, and then they get to decide what they do with it. That's exactly what he's telling his audience here to do, is to basically tell them the quote unquote truth, and then they can, succumb to that truth if they want to. And, but I mean, witnessing consistently over and over and over again, I mean, at some point you've got to be like, God damn, this ain't working. Like, that's why I won't continue too much of a conversation if they've already rejected like facts and whatnot. There's no reason to rehash shit with them. No reason to go around in circles.
Stranger, just pray that the Lord will bring somebody else.
Because prayer fucking works all the time.
To their lives that will continue on the witness. That's gonna do it for this one. I'm sorry if it didn't turn out as good.
Editing would have helped this video so much.
I don't know if I'm talking loud enough for this to pick it up. Of course, I'm gonna try to review it. I'm gonna review the video before.
Okay, I think that's it. He's done. Well, guys, I appreciate everybody joining me today. I know that he was really, really kind of boring at points. But like I said, I think that these, that one of my purposes here on the page and on the YouTube channel and everything is to be a voice in that fog that is Christianity. And that's why I continuously respond to people that put up these kind of videos on YouTube, is because I think that it's important to stay consistent and to consistently be a voice in that fog. So that's how I feel about it. I will see you heathens later, and don't forget to stand up and use your voice. And I guess for this stream, be that voice in the fog.